Hi everyone. Welcome to my channel, Secrets Behind the Stars. All the details are right here in this video. If you enjoy what you hear, please tap like and subscribe, and if you want to support the work even more, the join button is below. Thank you, and now, let's watch. Today, the digital tide turned in a way nobody predicted. In a moment that cut through the glitter of curated feeds and glossy premieres, Barış Arduç, long associated with success, elegant premieres, and a carefully managed private life, let a guarded door swing open. What should have remained a quiet remark, the kind people share at dinner with trusted friends, became a revelation delivered with disarming clarity. In a handful of reflective sentences, he pushed aside the stage lights and let the world glimpse the part of him that doesn't make magazine covers, a heart that, despite the rhythm of work and accolades, still remembers. Still waits. Still wonders. The scene did not take place on a crimson carpet or in the orchestrated glow of a launch. It unfolded during an interview that, at first, felt routine. Questions danced around work, projects, and the easy banter that stars often deliver by reflex. Then something shifted. The tone softened, the answers lengthened, and the pauses between words started to mean as much as the sentences themselves. He didn't raise his voice, and he didn't seek pity. He simply let the silence breathe and filled it with memory. He spoke of moments that haven't dulled with time, conversations that ran late into the night, laughter that seemed to rearrange a room, and small, unplanned gestures that, when remembered, return entire hours in a blink. When he said Elsen Sangu's name, he didn't wield it like a headline. He carried it like a fragile keepsake you take out to make sure it still looks exactly the same. He conjured images as if he were leafing through an album he keeps close but rarely opens, framing their shared past with care rather than scandal. And then came the line that sent shockwaves through timelines and feeds, the thought poised on the edge of love and loss. He admitted that the possibility of Elsen marrying the man she has been linked with recently would, for him, feel like the final extinguishing of a hope he hasn't been able to hate, a hope that stirs even when he tells himself it shouldn't. It could have been brushed off as nostalgia, but it wasn't. The confession didn't sound like a script. It sounded like a person finally naming the thing that's been living in the room with him for years. And that is precisely why it exploded beyond the echo chamber of entertainment segments. It became a cultural Rorschach test. In his words, people heard their own unfinished chapters. Some recognized the courage it takes to say aloud what most bury out of pride. Others recoiled, insisting that love is not content and that wounds, when displayed, become commodities. The interview turned into a mirror, and everyone, it seems, found a reflection inside it. Reactions flooded in almost immediately. Comments stacked on comments. Clips were cut into snippets and shared in an endless loop. One side praised him for daring to speak truth without disguises, without demanding something in return. Another accused him of dragging a private story into the arena where speculation replaces empathy. In specialized corners of the internet, the conversation fractured into think pieces, threads, and late-night dissections. Was this a last attempt to reach for a hand slipping away? Was it a necessary exhale, a way to fold a lingering love into a shape that can finally be put down? The disagreement wasn't just about him. It was about the times we live in, the place where intimate moments are archived by millions of strangers. And then there was Elsen, silent, at least in public. In an era when speed is prized, her refusal to sprint into the debate became its own kind of statement. Was the quiet a shield? A thoughtful pause? Or a perfectly calibrated decision not to pour fuel on a fire that burns without oxygen? The absence of a statement became a canvas for theories. Every photo, every caption, every absence of a like was read like tea leaves, a practice that says more about the reader than the subject. Friends said nothing. Colleagues said less. The silence, paradoxically, grew louder. What happened between them was instantly recast by the public into chapters and arcs. Beyond Barış, beyond Elsen, the broader story was the market for love itself, how we track it, trade it, and turn it into communal mythology. A man celebrated for discipline and composure revealed that success cannot make a heart obey reason. A woman celebrated for range and intelligence found her quiet turned into speculation. And in the space between, audiences projected the plotlines they crave. Weddings that may or may not happen, reconciliations that could be cinematic or complicated, and the tantalizing possibility that the past can be rewritten if two people step forward at the same time. Those who have followed Elsen's career know the outline: a performer with magnetic presence, deliberate in her choices, skilled at saying only as much as she intends. She has long let her work speak while keeping the rest guarded, which is why this confession didn't land like tabloid bait. For many, it felt like a small window opened in a house where the curtains are usually drawn, and what spilled out was not gossip but humanity. As the talk of a possible wedding to the man she has been connected with since late last year took on more color, the narrative grew lush with imagined scenes, vows, whispers, the quiet sorrow of someone watching from a distance, the late-night message that may never be sent. Journalists and analysts split along familiar lines. One camp framed the moment as catharsis, a necessary naming of the thread that has tangled his days for too long. Another argued it was calculated, a pivot back to the center of the conversation by leaning on the gravitational pull of romance. But whichever reading you choose, the effect was undeniable. The vulnerability in his voice felt like a universal frequency. Everyone, at some point, has loved someone who was not theirs to keep. Everyone knows how memory edits out the noise and leaves just the sunlit parts, and how that edit can be both a comfort and a trap. Dear viewers of Secrets Behind the Stars, we want to hear your thoughts, not as judges but as people who know what this feels like in your own lives. Do public figures owe it to themselves and to those who watch them to shelter their feelings? Or does speaking plainly become a kind of responsibility when so many invest in their stories anyway? If you were in Sangu's place, would you answer the confession directly, or would you hold your ground in silence and protect what cannot be understood by anybody outside? With the wedding rumors hovering, should the timeline be accelerated, slowed, or simply allowed to unfold without the pressure of millions of eyes? Tell us in the comments, because your perspectives help shape how we approach this unfolding chapter, and they guide the questions we'll ask next time we step into a room with the red light on and the microphones ready. At Secrets Behind the Stars, our goal is not to turn human lives into spectacle, but to bring context to the moments that seize the spotlight. We want to understand what these stories mean, and how the push and pull between privacy and publicity defines the age we live in. If you want us to go deeper, to chase the legal angles, the PR strategies, and the emotional truths behind it all, please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit like if you want more storytelling that looks beneath the surface. And if you crave a closer seat at the table, become a member by clicking join. Your support helps us investigate, travel, and bring you the kind of careful coverage that respects people while acknowledging the power their lives have over our imaginations. What remains after the storm of takes and timelines is a question as old as romance. What do we do with feelings that refuse to fade on command? Maybe that is why this moment became more than just a headline. When a guarded figure looks straight at the lens and admits that the happy ending might not include him, it interrupts the choreography we expect from celebrity narratives. It reminds us that even those who shape dreams for a living cannot always manage their own. It also forces a reckoning with the rituals of our age. We consume stories long before they are finished, we write endings for people we've never met, and we elevate the most tender parts of their lives into campfire tales we pass around each other. The machinery of fame makes every gesture legible to millions. A touch. A glance. An unposted photo. The meaning we assign can lift someone, or it can crack them. In that light, the restraint from Elsen becomes an act of authorship. Choosing not to let others dictate the tone of a story that is still being lived. As for Barış, the confession may become a hinge. If it closes the door, the click will echo. If it opens one, the light will arrive slowly and without fanfare. Either way, the choice to speak will rewrite how audiences see him. Not as a sculpture of charm, but as a person who can admit that success and longing know how to share a stage. Whether the wedding rumors harden into certainty or dissolve into fog, the world will remember that, for a moment, he reached for truth over optics and let it be messy. Some will say the timing was dangerous. Others will say it was brave. We can accept both. We can accept that he may have wanted to catch a falling thread or simply to stop pretending he didn't see it anymore. We can accept that she may be choosing peace, or strategy, or both. And we can accept that the two of them are more than the roles they play in each other's mythology. They are adults moving through a labyrinth built by strangers, trying to hear their own footsteps. If you've ever stood in a kitchen after midnight and felt an old memory sit down across from you, this story will feel familiar. If you've ever watched someone you love begin a new chapter and felt the air change, you will recognize the way the body keeps track of time better than any calendar. That is the part of his words that refuses to let the moment fade, the admission that a love can outlive its season and still function like weather, sweeping in without warning, asking to be named. However this resolves, quietly, dramatically, or somewhere in the middle, the debate it sparked won't vanish. It will live in the way we talk about boundaries, in the way we interpret responses, and in the patience we demand from people we don't actually know. It will live in the understanding that a person can hold 1,000 successes in their hands and still feel the weight of one unclosed story. And if you strip away the magnifying glass of fame, you find something ordinary and unglamorous at the center, tenderness that refuses to be scheduled. Thank you for watching and for trusting us with your time. We'll keep following this with care, asking the questions that matter and ignoring the noise that doesn't. If this moved you, if it challenged you, or if it simply reminded you of something you once felt, please share your thoughts below. Make sure you're subscribed to Secrets Behind the Stars for the updates we'll bring as this story continues to unfold. Until then, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in the next video, where we'll once again pull back the curtain, just enough to understand, not to intrude. Finally, beyond romance and beyond rumor, this moment invites a larger conversation about intimacy in the digital age. The platforms that connect us can also stretch private truths across the sky. The confession from Barış doesn't ask for applause, it asks for reflection. And whether the next chapter is a wedding, a steady silence, a carefully worded response, or the gentle erasure of time, we can say we witnessed something rare. A person stepping out from behind his own legend to admit that some echoes do not go quiet just because the world wants a different soundtrack.